Welcome to another How Lou Sees It game review. Today I am reviewing Guildhall Job Fair, and brought to you by AEG Games. And now my review today will be purely based on this Job Fair version. This is the kind of second version or expansion, however you'd like to call it. But I have not played with that original version yet. The original box looks like that. And from my understanding, all the game mechanics and everything stay the same, but we have different professions that you play with. So anyway, in the box you'll find a really nice rule book, very easy to understand and read, as well as a one-page summary on the back with setup, how to play, and the icons and what they mean. And I'll get into that a little bit more. You have a nice big box here with different areas to keep all of your cards. Lamb and Susan over there not included. You have a little trough area here where you can keep these victory point tokens, chips, and the quality of the cards and everything are actually really nice. The chips, however, I hope that I would be able to substitute some of these chips for some nice metal chips or different things like that. They really aren't bad quality. The cardboard and everything, they're just, you get that big sheet and you punch them out, and I've kind of torn some of them that way. So they're good, but I wish I would have some plastic or metal pieces. But I guess I might be a little snobbish like that. But anyway, you have basically two different decks of cards here. You have the decks of the professions, and you have a victory point deck. And for those who have read my written review, I kind of talk about, when you see a box generally this size and it's made up of just cards, it's going to be compared to Dominion in some way or another, I think, even if subconsciously. So what I want to look at here, the victory point cards, you kind of get a similar feel of how they're laid out. They kind of have a shield on them, and then obviously it shows just how many victory points they're worth. But in this game it's pretty interesting because most of the victory points cost either one, you'll see one deck here, one chapter, one completed chapter, which I'll get into, and some of them also, the higher 9-point, you have a 9-point card, costs 2, but it's either 1 or 2 all the way through the deck, and you'll notice some have no further bonus things on them, while as this one, while only 3 points, gives you a nice bonus action here that you can perform. So it's kind of the difference between the victory point cards, and they don't go into your deck. You don't have a deck that you're playing with. This is not a deck building game. It's more of a set collecting game, and it's really kind of intriguing how they've done that. And so you have 30 different victory point cards. There's let's see how many, I think 52 of these little tokens, and then you have this rule book, which is 4, 5, 6 pages, something like that. And as I said, there's different professions that you'll have here. So you have a deck of 120 cards, which is made up of, you have the 6 different professions with 5 different colors and 4 sets of the 5 different colors in each of the professions. So I hope you got that. It's 4 sets of 5 colors in each of the professions. So, example, we have here the peddler, and the peddler, you have red, purple, green, yellow, and blue, and that is one set, one chapter is what that would be. And so the different ones that we're working here, you have the peddler, the robber, bricklayer, hunter, the tax collector, and the scholar. So those are the 6 different professions in this version, and really fun. So I won't go into great detail about the setup and everything, but everyone's dealt 9 cards. You can get rid of how many ever you want and redraw up to 9, and then everyone's going to start with a few cards in their Guildhall, and that would be a section over to your right. So I may actually have been lucky and I've decided to put 3 peddlers down. And in your Guildhall, they all have to be different cards. So I would not be able to play another red peddler, or green or yellow. I would have to play a blue one or a purple one. And that goes along with all the different kinds. So whenever you're adding cards to your Guildhall, you separate them into professions and keep all of the colors separate. And once you finally get a completed set throughout the game, you would turn this over, and this becomes a completed chapter, which you can use to purchase victory points, which would go to the side. And we'll go ahead and get into some of what these actions are in a minute. So as you play cards, so you have, a certain number of cards in your hand, and you have this big deck to play from. And so you would play cards from your hand, and you'll notice there's different rankings here. So if you have 0 scholars and you play a scholar on your turn, then you can perform this action here. If you have 2 or less, then if you have at least 2 scholars, then you can perform that action. And if you have at least 4, then you can perform that action. If you have 4, you can choose to perform these other actions, but most of the time you're going to want to utilize the greatest ability that you have. And so that gets me to one of my points. These icons and everything can be really confusing to new people trying to learn how to play the game. And once you get into it, I'm sure it does get easier in remembering these, and the icons are pretty self-explanatory. But again, with all the different cards, each profession does kind of one specific thing. You'll notice a lot of similar icons, but it would have been helpful, I think, to just maybe have the text on it or something. If you go on to BoardGameGeek.com, look it up, you can actually print off a PDF file with kind of the cards set up this way, and the words actually written here similarly, so that you can reference it pretty easily. But your first game, you might use the rule book and have to kind of come back and read the text of, say, the bricklayer, and what you can actually do for your action. Or, like I said, on this back page for reference, it kind of explains what the icons are. And that's kind of one of my only issues with the game is those icons and things like that. So you take turns. You have 2 actions that you can play. Basically, you're going to play one of these cards. You're going to play another one. They allow you to do different things. Search through this deck for cards that you would want. The robber allows you to take one from your opponent's Guildhall and add it to yours. There's kind of a trading aspect to the game, so that the peddler, you're switching cards. The tax collector is pretty cool, because when you play that, you get victory point tokens equal to how many ever tax collectors you have in your Guildhall. But then you're required to move from one of your cards from your Guildhall to an opponent's Guildhall. And so you take turns doing that. It's a set collecting game. You turn in these completed chapters for victory points, And some of these have actions on them as well. So this one, you can go ahead and play any number of cards into your Guildhall that you'd like from your hand. So that's really good. Great game. Check it out. For those who like set collecting games, I think you really enjoy it. And it is a really fun game once you get used to what the actions are and everything. So check it out.